What's going on, everybody out there? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional. I will have the co-host on Monday. You already know, co-host Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're in the building. Today is just me and brother Sheik Denham L. Denham L.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one of the guards say something about say something under a video of yours, like a video I put out there, and he said, I didn't know like some of the guards knew you and all that. That's peace right there. That's peace right there. I don't know how deep your history. Well, you told me last time about your history and things like that, but I don't know. I didn't know it went that deep, like with people knowing you and all this type of stuff. Like I'm thinking like just maybe the Moors might know you, but nah, it looked like seemed like everybody know who you are. You know what I mean? So. That's peace. That's peace. How
Mm-hmm.
you doing, brother?
All is well, my brother. I'm good, man. Maintaining, doing the
That's
knowledge. That's all. Just chilling. It's a nice
indeed.
Friday. You know what I mean? I'm just lounging right now. I was watching a kung fu flick, Snake in the Monkey Shadow, Snake in the Eagle Shadow. You know what I'm saying? Just lounging. That's all I do.
That's peace. That's peace. So today we're going into Syracuse. Do you hear anything in the background right now?
In your background,
Yeah.
I don't hear nothing.
All right. Good. All right.
It might be
So
it might be me. I gotta look. My TV's on, but it's not. You know what I mean?
no, I can't really hear that. So
Okay.
so we're talking about Syracuse history today. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because, I just want to give people a little brief history and of the idea of the NYP platform. The NYP platform is a plethora of different things. One of them is we wanted to really showcase what was going on inside of New York State, because everyone talks about the five boroughs, but me now living, as they say, upstate now, like I moved outside of the five boroughs and I live upstate now. If this is really not upstate, but to people from the city, they call this upstate. It's a whole different like world up here. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
of course.
you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, I want to show the different parts of New York. So eventually we want to try to get out there to these different places in New York and kind of like show the spots. Today,
Right.
today with the Sheik, we're gonna build on Syracuse history, and that's where you're from. So let's take it away. Let's go with the first question. What is Syracuse history? Let's start with his early beginnings. I don't know if you know the history about that.
Well, I mean, everything has a history. I mean, everything has a history. When you ask that question, it has to be minimized in a way to my time period. In a sense, I was born in 1968. You know what I'm saying, in Syracuse, New York. Now, I can go from there. You know what I'm saying, from my birth. I mean, I can go from there. But
Mhm.
in that regards, the place called Syracuse, if not mistaken, it was established in the 18th century,
Okay.
incorporated, something like that. You know what I mean? The 18th century, the 1700s, or something like that. One of the, New York was a part of the 13 colonies, the original 13 colonies. It was called New Amsterdam or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother story. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, 1968, I was born upstate New York. Syracuse, New York was a plethora of culture. I was born in this 68, grew up in the 70s, came of age in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So my first 12 years of life was spent through the 70s. Maybe my first 10 years of life, because I turned 12 years old in 1980. So from 68 to 1980, oh, it was just everything was red, black, and green, afros. Everybody was doing martial arts. That's how I got into martial arts, because every neighborhood was doing karate. Cats was walking around in gis. You know what I'm saying? Kung fu, the kung fu joints, the full outfits. You know what I'm saying? The Black Panther movement was pretty strong up here.
Mhm.
The Nation of Islam was pretty strong up here. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad Nation of Islam was pretty strong in the 70s.
Mhm.
Also, there was in the late
My bad. Mm-hmm.
The late going into the late 70s, there was a lot of police situations going on between the mid into the late 70s, going into the early 80s in Syracuse. A lot of run-ins with police with different brothers and sisters in the community. So we had lost a couple soldiers. Brother Jeremiah Mitchell, who got murdered by the police.
All
He's
right.
a martial art.
Okay, well, real quick. I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
And
you good.
and I'm paying attention. I just wanted to repost this video to make
Okay.
sure everybody is viewing it. So, real quick. So we're talking about Syracuse. We're talking about the beginnings. You mentioned everyone was like red, black, and green out, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
everyone was
Afros, red, black, and green.
right. Now, who brought that into because I always know something about history. There's always someone with the spark, someone always to lead the spark, to lead the charge. It'll be 1-2 people that'll come with the teachings, and now the whole neighborhood is doing it. So was it like
Yeah.
a center or something like that?
Nah, it was Well, there was a center. We had the Dunbar Center, which was in the bricks, and then we had the Southwest Community Center. You know what I'm saying? But prior to that, prior to the centers, I can't tell you much because I was born in '68. But what I can tell you is that when I was a child, there was brothers and sisters who already had that zeal. We had Harambe, there was different quote unquote pro-black organizations. You had the Caribbean brothers and sisters who was doing their own thing. You know what I'm saying? My cousin was a Rasta. You got it was just a whole bunch, it was just a plethora of culture, man. You know what I mean? You got Syracuse University, you got over 23, 24, 25,000 people going to that college. You know what I'm saying? Different nationalities coming in and out of the school all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, that's what it was. A lot of times the university people wouldn't even come down into the city because they're given instruction not to mess with the people in the community. You know what I mean? But there were those who did. You know what I mean? Brother AJ, you may know Brother AJ Tayemba, who has the Harlem Liberation School. You know what I'm saying? AKA his name was, when he was going to Syracuse University, his name was Puttin Stiff. But now his name is AJ Tayemba. He has the Liberation School in Harlem. That's my man. He was around. You know what I mean? He can give you some history as well about Syracuse because he went to the university and he was the president of the Black Student Union. You know what I'm saying? So we ran into each other around 80, 89 when I came out of the military. So from 1980 on up, it was just all hip hop, all culture. Yeah, I got Knowledge of Self in 1980. Breakdancing with break.
G gave
Yeah,
you that. Yeah.
yeah, my man. Yeah, G. Yep. G hit me off. G hit me, gave me knowledge, so gave me the lessons, and I continue to maintain and study. Breakdance in the battles. It was so many crews, man. You had Puma Nation, you had KOC crew, you had Southside Rockers, you had McNasty crew, you had DJ Glove. It was just Deep Freeze MCs. It was just so many crews, man. Makiba and Scratch. It was just so many crews. It was a female crew. I forgot their names. The Poison Ladies or something. It was just 1,000 crews. Everything was, it was the culture. Period.
Mm-hmm.
As far as dress code is concerned, our dress code was a combination of what we was seeing coming out of New York on like videos, little things. Pick up things like the glasses and gazelles or something like that. But our dress code, we kind of created our own thing. I was wearing camouflage before anybody was. Before Coogee Rap, before anybody was wearing camouflage, I was wearing it as a style in the eighth and ninth grade because it was our martial arts. It was our combat uniforms. It was camouflage. I started wearing it to school. Next thing you know, the hats and everything. I was wearing camouflage and people thought I was bugged out, but then it became a thing. By the 90s, everybody was camouflage. By that time, I had already done it. So I was doing something else by that time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, my thing was always being different, being authentic, because I didn't really have the money like G and them had. They had that money to do certain things, to buy certain clothes. So the way I rock, I put my things together just in a different way, man. You know what I mean? I merged things. I merged culture with martial styles. And, 5% influence with in a dress code. You know what I'm saying? Like I did my own thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it was, man. We had a lot of battles, man. A lot of a lot of conflicts. A lot of things was caught in battles, but by 83, 84, by the time I got out of high school, which was 86, I graduated in 86. The dope game was already in. The crack game wasn't. It was cold. And that was the old heads. I mean, like I think the first millionaire I ever saw in Syracuse was a kid named Kev Givens. Kev Givens was like the first millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Then there was other millionaires. These was old heads. You know what I'm saying? And then I went to the military 86, came home in 89, got kicked out 89, came back. Crack was in full swing. And it was youngsters on the block.
Now,
the old heads was
right. Now, let's unpack a lot of stuff now. So we're gonna start from knowledge. You was talking about, Black Pride, red, black, and green, and then you went into everybody was just like martial arts out, right? For lack of a term. So now who were like the top martial artists of that era, like historical kind of like martial arts hall of fame? Yeah.
In the town, you had the brother, rest in peace. You can look him up. His name is Vincent Grace. We called him the Black Samurai. He was a Aikido master. Then there was also his instructor, which was Grandmaster Greg Tierney. You also had my teacher, which was Mfundishi Edward Hanif Fox.
Wait, Mfundishi, not okay. We're not talking about the same person.
No, Mfundishi is a title. Gotcha. I'm an Mfundishi. My school was called Chiwushu Shule. Shule is an African word for school. It was a combination of Northern Shaolin and Kupigani and Gumi, which is an African fighting art. And the brother Oso Tayari Cassell used to come to our school all the time. I don't know if you know who Tayari Cassell is. Look him up.
Okay.
He used to come to our school all the time. Then you had another brother named Frankie Mitchell. Frankie Mitchell had a school called the Spinning Cobras. The Spinning Cobras was our arch nemesis. We used to battle back and forth with them. Tournaments, outside in the street fights. That's what we did. That's karate days, man. That's just how it was. And we also had battles. We pop, break dance, all that, man. Then again, the crack came, bro. Crack changed the game. We went from breakdancing on corners to hustling on corners. The transition was crazy because you got to think about the 80s. You got to think about what they call Reaganomics. Poverty hit hard in certain ways, and what they did was they made cocaine, which is a quote unquote a white man's drug. They made it accessible for the impoverished. They made it accessible. $3 rock, $5 rock, $2 rock. They made it accessible. So by doing that, that created a whole nother phenomenon within our communities. As you know, we still recovering from the 80s. Because of that era is where the mental health things began. After the first generation of crack, then we begin to see an era of mental health. I told my partner on his porch in 1991, this cat was coming down the block. We used to sell out this house. We used to hustle out this house, 327 West Lafayette. We had a studio in it, but he used to get money out of it as well. And I told one of my partners, I said, yo, I'm telling you, man, people bugged out, man, but it's going to get worse. Within 20 years, we're going to have an epidemic. And he laughed at me. Do you know today? He said, yo, man, how did you see that shit 25 years ago, man, when you said that shit on the porch? I was like, what you talking about? I totally forgot about it. He said, yo, you called this shit. Bro, I can see. Before something get good, it got to get worse. When you got a bunch of children outside hustling, moving packs and getting money and, you know what I'm saying, 14, 15, 16, of course, addiction and other things is going to come to play because it's child on child. And who really has wisdom? I can't teach you at 15, nothing at 15. What we going to teach each other? Except what we perceive to know and understand as whatever that may be. So if one is swifter than the other, just in thought process, I can use the other 15-year-old to my advantage if I'm swift like that. And in that era, a lot of youngsters were swift like that because they didn't want the consequences. They wasn't really built for the life they was living, man. 12 years, you're not built for that shit. You know what I'm saying? You're not built for it, but you put it in an environment that's conducive for that idea, right? So we know and understand that poverty is by design, right? So if poverty is by design, there's certain things that one must do in order to make the poverty work. We want an outcome. Whenever we do something, there's an outcome, right? So my father had a bar from 1989 till 2016 in Syracuse, New York, called B&B Lounge. It's a legendary bar. On that block that we was on was 5 or 6 other bars. All the way down the block, another street called South Salina Street. All clubs and bars. This is the south side of Syracuse, which at one point in time was all ran by Asiatic people. Prior to what? Integration.
Oh, integration.
Right? And even after integration. But by that time, when segregation kicked in, the businesses were still there. Then the Arabs came in and bought out the stores and other things and so on and so forth, right? So now we have a community where you have foreigners and the economics is all going to the foreigners. And the politics is removing certain things out of the community because there's no need for night gym anymore. There's no need to have a program that's designed for the kids that after school to play in the gym or to do something to keep them off the streets between the hours of 4 to 8 o'clock at night. They don't need that no more. That's for research. Oh, we're going to take away the CETA program, which is job employment for youth for the summer. We're going to take that program away because that money can be used and placed somewhere else. Oh yeah, we're going to remove this as well. Selectively over a 15-year period, I watched my community began to be decimated by politics. I watched businesses destroy themselves and be removed by politics, intentional politics, right? You can't recover from that. This is why I always say that integration was the worst thing that happened to us. And if anything, if we are able to get back whatever we once had, we have to separate. We have to. We can do things as individuals within this system. We can even do things as groups within the system, as a collective. But it's going to get to some point where something is going to get in the way. Somewhere we're going to have to answer to something or someone. Something is going to get in the way instead of just how we had it before segregation, where we didn't answer to nobody. We just did our own thing and we built economies. You know what I'm saying? 19 to 20 different riots and massacres of Black communities between 1878 and 1923. You know what I mean? So I'm getting off track, but that's how I do it.
No. Keep cooking. You
know what I'm saying? So when you think about it, this is the effects of what happened in our community. So the decimation of the community created the desire and the need for kids to hustle, in a sense. It created the environment for it. They wasn't understanding that the environment was going to feed on them. You understand what I'm saying? The environment is vampiric in a sense. They'll open up the door for you to do these things. You get things, but in the process, you're going to have to sacrifice something because of what you can gain from it and the possibilities of what could occur if you actually took your wealth from that particular lifestyle and did something with it constructively, like every other nationality has done when they have came to these shores by immigration. The Italians, the Jews, the Irish, they've all had some form of an underground or undershadow that put them on the forefront. That first generation did the dirty work and put their children through college. And their children became lawyers and doctors to protect the very thing, the very entity that put them through college or whatever. You see what I mean? So it's very hard for us to maintain certain things, right? So because why? Because we find comfort, we find comfort in materialism. But that's a condition in us. We've been conditioned for that, right? And we find comfort in it. So the things that we chase the most are the things that shine and bling because it looks good to the eye. But those things have no bearing on your spirit and your integrity when it's all said and done. And that's something that I learned throughout the years, being here, being home, and living abroad. You know, the 80s got strong because the crack game came in and you had brothers and sisters running around, youngsters who are now getting a lot of money. We had young millionaires. We had cats who's, there's stories to tell. You know what I'm saying? There's stories to tell, and we had it. And the thing is that Syracuse, New York is an experimental state. Some of the first experiments was held here. Matter of fact, a place called Kennedy Square and a place called Cherry Hill, but specifically Kennedy Square was an experiment. And what I mean by that was the way that the project was built and the way it was designed. It was designed under a West Coast paradigm. It was designed to be in the West Coast. The way it was made, it wasn't an Eastern thing. It was a design, and the way it was designed, the infrastructure of it, going in and out of it, and so on and so forth. Do you ever notice that in every inner city, that whenever you get close to quote unquote a project or a housing environment, there's a quick way onto a highway and a quick way off the highway?
Bro, wow. And from the projects I'm from, the highway is right there.
Of course it is.
I never noticed that, man. Like I never really thought about it. I noticed it, but I never really thought about it like that.
You got to think about these things because these things are designed on purpose this way. Quickest way in, quickest way out. The Army, the quickest way the National Guard can come in, the quickest way they can get out, the quickest way that they can come, the quickest way they can get out. They design these things a way on purpose, right? So within that situation, it's the same thing with us in Syracuse. We're a smaller place, but it's still the same designs. It's still the same paradigm. It's still the same situation, smaller place. Environment and structure is different because it's not a concrete jungle. We got trees. The sidewalks got grass. You know what I'm saying? You look like you're in a peaceful place. And that's how people get put to sleep. I'm gonna tell you, man, Unkasa used to come hang with me all the time. Man, me and Unkasa got tight. He used to come through here.
Okay, Unkasa from Harlem.
Yeah.
Harlem, yeah.
That's my man.
Yeah, I remember him. He from
that's my man with the glasses.
Yeah, he from 151st or something over there.
Yeah, that's my man. I gave him his first Circle 7.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, they used to run through. A lot of people from the city used to run through Syracuse and thought they could just run through Syracuse and got ran out. They got ran out. You know what I mean? We're a little upstate town, but if you go into the prison system and ask about upstate cats, it's a different story. We different. Always been. Everybody's different in New York State. We are New York, but every state, every city got its own expression of New York. Like we express New York, but you know what? It's New York though. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I love being from upstate New York. I love the city. I love to go to New York and travel and walk around and hang out and go build the cars, go to Queenwood. I love it. But I also love upstate, and I love when cats from the city come upstate. They be like, yo, god damn, like, yo. They love it. They be like, yo, I should move up here. You know what I'm saying? Because it's such a change from the environment, the frequency, the vibration is different. Mm-hmm. It ain't fast. You can slow down and breathe.
Right, breathe a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? You could breathe a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing about upstate is that you can slow down, but even when you slowing down, shit is fast. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
Depending on the circle you in or the company you keep, it could be fast or slow. You know, God, we move in swift and changeable currents.
Indeed.
You see what I'm saying? We can cause rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes.
Yes, sir.
Not just physically, but we can also cause them mentally and emotionally.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So our thing, you know, here in Syracuse, man, we always did our own thing, man, in regards to music, in regards to gear, in regards to language. We even, I mean, everybody got their own tongue. Everybody got their own code, their own language. You know what I'm saying? And you know, their own little slang. Everybody got it. You know what I mean? And it's just what it is, man. I mean, it's so much history here, man. It's drug history here, man. You know, it's martial arts history here, man. Like every place, man. You know, I've been here. I've been fortunate enough to live in other parts of New York. I lived in Albany. I lived in the Law Born for a little while. You know, totally different from Syracuse, man. Totally different. You know what I'm saying? Totally different feel. Totally different feel. I lived in Geneva, New York. I've lived in Auburn. I've lived all through upstate New York. Because it's beautiful. Upstate New York is beautiful. Like like spring, summer, travel through upstate. Beautiful, man. Trails, hiking, all that crazy shit. It's dope.
Yeah, it is.
Dope. You know what I'm saying? It's dope.
Now I want to ask you about this. So let's unpack we don't got to go too deep into it, but
okay.
Unfortunately is a part of the culture. Like now the drug scene.
Yeah.
Right. You know, like from where I'm from, we used to see like the dealers, you know, like Alpo and them cats, like you know, popping willies and doing what they do and shit like that. Like I was a kid, but I knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, from Harlem, you know, you got the Alpos, the Rich Porters, the AZ, you know, and things like that. You know, that history. So what's the Alpos and the AZs and all of that in Syracuse?
Man, I don't know if they want me to say their names, man. We all old now. You know, it don't really matter now. But G was one of them. G was one of them cats. You know what I'm saying? You had my man, Birdie. It was a bunch of them, man. Yo, Lamar. It was a bunch of them, man. Everybody was getting money. Like I can't. Every side of town had you know what I'm saying? Had 2 or 3 cats who was just getting money and holding the whole town down, like Tyrone Hines. You know what I'm saying? Like Hines from the 90s.
Now, before you go deep into the names, like you keep dropping them. Now, I just wanted to get this real quick before you go. You mentioned the south side of Syracuse. So there's a south side, there's a north side, there's a west side,
east side, and the west side. Indeed, the west side is predominantly Latino. They always got kingpins. The west side and the west side of Syracuse, you will never know what happened on the west side because everything happens inside of it, and it's just kept there. You know what I'm saying? The east side is not the same as it used to be. Syracuse has had a big influx of immigrants that have moved in within the last 20 years. It has also changed the environment. You know what I'm saying? But some of the cats from like I was telling you, like Tyrone Hines, he's back home now. But Hines ran 99 pounds of cocaine through Syracuse. Yeah, I mean, like the Brick City gang, and you know the bricks and all that, man. Then you had the cats on the south side. Like everybody was just getting money, man. Moski, everybody, man. Everybody was just Syracuse was a get money town. Every block, every side was getting money. There was and it wasn't really even conflict. At that time, nobody was really even beefing because you had the old heads was getting money, you had the younger generation getting money, and the old heads was working with the youngsters, and the youngsters was working with the old. It was just crazy for a minute, man. It was crazy, man, because a lot of the older cats, they was only old by 7 to 8 years over some of us, and then they were a little older to the younger cats. So they was taking the younger cats and they was schooling them, some of them. And then some of the younger cats was robbing them. A lot of robberies was going on. A lot of cats got stuck up. A lot of that. A lot of stick ups. All the time in the parking lot at the bars. A lot of stick ups was going on. I mean, it was the 80s.
What about what was the murders like the same as like Harlem and the Bronx and all of that? When that in that era?
It was a lot. It was murders. Yeah, it was murders. Definitely. Yeah, it was murders. I could talk about some of those things. I'll tell you a story. It was this kid, man. had a conflict. He just came home himself. He just came home. He did like 25, almost 30. He just came home. His mom's was in a bar, and he got a phone call that somebody disrespected his mother. So he basically got on the roof and hit a cat from about 25 feet out from the roof at a store, walking in the store.
Sniper.
Yeah. A couple cats. I remember we was in Kirk Park and my man got stabbed to death. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a lot of, a lot of things went on, man. But Syracuse is a small place. You know what I'm saying? It's not like those stories ain't gonna make the news like the out. It ain't gonna be like those things. You know what I'm saying? Because the town was so small and you had to be there. One thing about this place is that we don't really gratify that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Some cats will you tell the stories, and you know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, it happened. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is, but it ain't something that we just, when we meet up, we talk about it. Like, yo, remember when when we meet up, we don't discuss none of those things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We just talk, we talk about, we do talk about the culture. We talk about hip hop and all that back when we was youngsters, but we don't ever go into the other things though.
Right. Because that subject, it gets a little tricky. So
yeah. Indeed. And then you got babies around, you got children around, you know what I'm saying? You got grandchildren around, it's just certain things, they're gonna find out things. Like my son right now, he called me last night. He was like, yo, dad. He was like, yo, man. He's like, damn, dad. I started laughing. I said, yo, what you done heard now? He said, yo, man, the older I'm getting, I'm just hearing more stuff about you. He's like, yo, you was that dude, man. You know everybody know you. He said, how come you didn't tell me this stuff? I said, it's nothing to tell you, man. I'm not proud. It's nothing to tell you. The street's gonna tell you. You look just like me. You old enough, you outside, somebody gonna say, yo, such and such your dad. You look, and they're gonna tell you that there's experience with me. That's what's gonna happen. He's like, yeah, it's happening too much. But I'm digging it though. I'm like, it's just gonna happen, man. Just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I've been around, I've done a lot of things. I was known in my community as they called me the Malcolm X or the Farrakhan of my community, man. Because I was always dropping jewels and I was always exposing a fraud, or I was always telling the truth. That was my thing. They would come get me. Yo, go get the guard, man. This dude just came. The dude was a cat named Dirty Rob. Did I tell you about Dirty Rob?
I don't remember.
Okay, maybe. So it was this cat named Dirty Rob, right? Mm-hmm. Dirty Rob had just came home from the Justice, walking around talking about he was 5%, that he was God. So my man D Carter was like, yo, he called me on the phone. He's like, yo, he's like, yo, Dirty Rob just came home, man. He just came home. You know what I'm saying? He went around talking about, he God. Yo, come holler at him. Let's see if he God for real. I said, all right. Went down, met him up, met up behind the school. I'm like, peace, God. He's like, yo, peace. He's like, oh, yo, ain't seen you in a long time, man. How you been? I'm like, what's the day's degree? What? I said, what's the day's degree? I said, okay, you know what? Let's start again. What's the day's mathematics? Make it easier for you. He said whatever he said, and I started laughing. I said, nah, Cypher. And I just went in. And D was like, I told you, Dirty Rob. This is the real God right here, Dirty Rob. This is the real God. We never saw Dirty Rob again after that day. Dirty Rob just retired. He put his flag down, God. He put the flag down. He retired, man. He went into retirement, man. We didn't see him no more, man. It's my word is bond. We didn't see Dirty Rob for about 4-5 years, man.
That's crazy. Now the gangster history, we kind of like went over like lightly. We went over the martial arts history a little bit. Now the breaker crews, MC crews, the dopest DJ out there. What's up with the like before the Bloods, they had Zulu. And then before Zulu, we had the Spades. I don't know if you saw the Spades there the other day.
Right.
Now, what were the gangs before you know, the
The hip
90s,
hop,
like
there
that.
was no gangs. Syracuse didn't have any gangs, brother. Well, we know I'm lying. In the 70s, the brothers who were older than me, when I was coming up, I remember one gang. I do remember a gang, one gang, and they had shit on lock. And the name of this gang was called, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
The Corleones. After the motherfucking Godfather, B. The Corleones. That was their name, the Corleones. And then in the 80s, well, no, actually, because it's another street set called the 10th. The 10th. But the origin of their name, this generation don't even know the origin of their name. I had to tell them. The origin of their name, the 10th or 110, there is no 110 block in Syracuse, New York. There's no street with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? By the physical number. You got 7th Avenue, you got 4th Avenue written number, but not by number, physical number. So 110th was actually named, that they took that name from a movie called Across 110th Street. That's where the name 110 came from. The street set in the hood, the street set called the Boot Camp Clique in the late 80s. You know where that came from.
Yeah.
The rap, right.
Right.
And then you had the Brighton Brigade, which was another late 80s street crew. You know what I'm saying? And that came from, the Brighton Brigade came from when Special Ed said, I got the Army Brigade. They couldn't harm me. I got the Army Brigade. Remember that shit? Yeah. That's what so one thing about Syracuse is that there's no originality in some of the thought process. The names taken from television and so on and so forth. So this tells you kind of what the environment was like in that era. It wasn't nothing really major happening in the streets, but shit was happening in the streets. But not some super major shit, but it was a lot of shit going on. There was drug selling going on. There was all types of shit going on. But the way it was being done wasn't really being seen. And just the police department, like, that's a whole nother story in itself too.
Yeah, I want to get into that now. But now you told us about some of the gangs that and everything like that. But
but let me give you the illest DJ. The illest DJ in my era. Two of the illest DJs in my era was Grand G, man, and another cat named Rapski. DJ Rapski. The illest MCs in my era was me. Ishmael Bey was nice too. Sharif was nice too.
Oh, really? Like really kicking it like that?
Yeah, Sharif was nice.
No, I mean like both of them, both Ishmael and
Ishmael was in a crew called 70. Ishmael had a crew called 70D. You know what I'm saying? Me and Ish came up together. We was rhyming at 11 and 12 years old. Just like we came up together. We met Sharif later, but we came in. It's just like that's my brother, like from another mom's. Like you know what I mean? So MCs, I was one of the illest. Nobody was really messing with my vocabulary. I was way ahead of myself. Way ahead of myself. Way ahead of myself.
So there were no breakout acts like that went commercial from Syracuse?
Yep. One act, and they could have went really, really big. Matter of fact, if you punch it in your joint right now, the name of the crew was called, I'm gonna spell it out for you. Makeba, Makeba, and Scratch. Like DJ Scratch, Makeba and Scratch. And look up the song called Throw Away the Candy Wrapper. It might pop right up.
Yeah, pop right up. Yeah.
Turn it on. Why we talking? Turn it on and look at it.
Yeah, I just don't want to get copyright and all that, because
no, I'm saying you ain't got to. Don't show it on the screen. I just want you to look at it.
Yeah,
I want you to see that you're looking at Kirk Park. You're looking at the Southwest Community Center. In these scenes, when they're inside, that's the center. That's the Southwest Community Center on the south side of Syracuse. When you see them outside, when a bunch of them outside, that's Kirk Park. That's the south side. That's Kirk Park. That's where all the MC battles went down. Kirk Park and Thornton Park on the east side. You understand what I mean? So you looking at Syracuse in its heights. This is this is what our town looked like. This is the culture. And this is what it really was, B. All the time.
All the time like this?
All the damn time. All the time, bro.
Like a party all day.
All day. This is what my city looked like in the 80s, man. All the time. Because we lived hip hop 24 hours a day. You get off the bus, it's a battle. It's a battle on a bus stop, a breakdance battle, a rhyme battle. You meet up in school in the back. It's a battle in the gym. Everywhere it was just like that. Them cats, Red Alert had them. Red Alert had them boys, man. But Scratch fucked it up. The DJ Scratch messed that up for them. He went gospel.
Okay.
Yeah, he went gospel, man.
Now, so there are no act like, because when I think about New York and hip hop acts, of course, the city, we already know about the city. We know it's about the city, probably enough. So I'm like, we got 38 Special. Was he from Rochester, right?
Yeah, you got Syracuse. Got you heard of the Stove God?
The Stove God.
Yeah, Stove God. They call him. I think he be with They call him Stove God. His name is Cooks. You look him up. He had to deal with Busta Rhymes. He's from Syracuse too. The Stove God. So
no acts really popped from Syracuse yet.
Nah. Not Grammy pop, nope. None of that type of stuff. Nah, but Syracuse is coming, man. Their time is coming. It's a lot of MCs here, B. Their time is coming. They just ain't got the right. Their time is coming. I got a cat called the Reaper. He a beast. He's on my Facebook page. I don't put a video or two of his up. Kid's a beast, man. Monster. Grimy. His LP is released the 14th of this month. So to be released, the whole album. You got a whole album dropping.
Yeah, eventually, I want to be able to showcase different acts from New York. New York, this whole state, like we need to find a way to highlight the whole state.
Yeah, New York State is a Motown, man, waiting to happen, man.
Indeed. So now you told me about the hip hop crews and things like that. Now, as far as the culture is concerned, and not only hip hop, you talked about the so-called Hispanics and things like that. What particular Hispanics are out there, and when did they come? When did they come? Yeah,
it's a lot of Power Rules. A lot of Power Rules. You know what I'm saying? Cubans. Now we got a lot of Guatemalan and Mexicans and things of that nature, but it's predominantly Puerto Rican and Boricua or Cuban, pretty much Dominican as well. You know what I'm saying? And they do their thing. You know what I'm saying? I used to swing on the west side a lot. I used to make some money over there back in the days. I used to swing over there. My man still got a house over there. One of my brothers, the guy Gil, he got a spot over there. Gil about 62 years old now. You know what I'm saying? But he's one of the oldest weed dealers in the town. He's been selling weed probably for about 40 some years, man. You know what I mean? That's what he do. That's his thing. It's another cat named Sweet James. Sweet James is a senior. He's an elder. I think he may have passed away, but Sweet James is one of the ones. Him and his sister, they had Sweet James. He used to get it, man. Sweet James was a bad dude, man. He was every drug dealer's hero because he retired. He retired, man. He never, he never got caught up, but he always had Sweet James was smart. I painted his crib. I painted his whole house, man. I learned so much from painting his house just from watching the way he moved, man. You know what I mean? He never got tied up in nothing. But he had Chiba, man, a whole bunch of it for years.
Now I want to just say peace to the Wise Dome TV. Peace.
Oh, peace. Peace. Peace to the God.
Peace to the God. Peace, God. Check out his channel. Watch his channel. Subscribe to that channel right there.
Oh, indeed. His channel was hot. He had me on one day too as well. He had me on too. You know what I mean? So yeah, God, his joint is on fire.
That's
Dope program.
now. Now we spoke about the Hispanics. Now let's talk about the breaking crews. I want to talk about the breaking crew. We already talk about the hip hop, the rap, the MCs. About the breaking crews.
Well, you had Can't Be Stopped, the CDS crew. You had the CDS crew Can't Be Stopped. That was my arch nemesis crew. My crew was Southside Rockers on the South Side. I was a part of two crews. Southside Rockers, which was my side of town, and then I was also a part of Puma Nation. Puma Nation was like one of the biggest crews, you know what I mean? Because they was from the east side, but they was like one of the biggest crews because they had MCs, DJs, breakdancers, graffiti artists. They was on that New York shit hard because they was going to New York all the time. And G was from Harlem. He was from Harlem, but his mom was from Harlem, but he was born, raised here, but he was always going home. So everybody wanted to be down with Puma Nation. Everybody, because they was just some fly cats. But I didn't get down with them because I wanted to be down with them. I took their ass out at the skating rink. All of them.
What's the name of the skating ring?
Sportsorama.
Okay.
I took them out at the skating rink, and they was like, yo, you down with us. They told me I was down with them. Like, yo, y'all know where you came from, but you got to be down with us. And that's how that whole thing started. And CBS crew, Southside Rockers, and Puma Nation. And then it was like the West Side had some crews. I can't remember their names, Puerto Rican brothers. They could pop and everything. And then we had Mr. Wiggles in them. Bonita was nice. It was a female. She was a popper. Mr. Wiggles, he's still around. He's still around. It was a bunch of them. Ernest Shaw, Mr. Freeze, Mr. Windmill Chill. It was a bunch of us, B. That's what we did, man. But I was the illest. And it was another cat named Greg Atkins. I forgot his name, but he hit me up a while back and was like, yeah, man, I still get loose for my grandkids. My grandkids watch me get loose, man. That's what we used to call it, getting loose. Yo, let's get loose. And then we break dance and shit. You know what I mean? So he was like, yeah, man, I'm still getting loose, man. I got my grandkids on this shit.
Now we got G for the 5% Nation.
And Puma Nation.
And no, I'm saying as far as now I'm talking about as far as consciousness now. Now I want to go into that a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, now so we got G for the 5% Nation, who pretty much brought that to Syracuse, brought it to you. Right?
Yep.
And then we got Sharif, who came with the Moorish Science, brought it to Syracuse.
Pretty much, yep.
Okay, what was that brother Sharif like, as a youngster, and things like that, like dealing with the knowledge and things like that? What was he like?
Sharif was just like he is now. Same dude, man. You know what I'm saying?
Studying and building.
That's what we all did.
Right.
That's what we all did. It was Ishmael Allah Bey, Sharif Allah Bey, and Hisha Allah Bey. And one time we was all, you know what I mean, like together. But life begins and you go your way, you get older, you know what I'm saying? Ish got married, children, you know what I mean, got daughters, a wife, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And that's it. One dude from Syracuse said that if you play games, I'm gonna take you. But yeah, man. So yeah, Sharif was a Sharif. He brought that science. You know what I'm saying? He brought it in, and he was he's a martial artist as well. He was always in the martial arts. We all were martial artists. I'm still a martial artist. He's still a martial artist. He runs a school now.
Yeah,
doing
his thing. Hungar.
Yeah, the Hungar school, no doubt. He's doing his thing, and Sharif went on his way. We all went our own ways with missions, I guess in the kind of like, Ish went his way because me and Ish went to the military together. I went to the Navy. Ish went to the Navy. We ran into each other while we was in the Navy, stationed in different locations. But I walked into a club on the naval base. I'm in the bathroom. I'm in my Miami Vice joint, rusted joint with the matching pants on, looking like tubs and shit. You know what I'm saying? And somebody said, "Yo, Pooch." Pooch is my nickname. So I'm in Cali, B. I'm in Cali right now. Who the fuck knows my nickname? You know what I'm saying? I'm looking around like, what the fuck? Look around. It's Ish. Yo. We in the bathroom hugging and shit. He talking Spanish. I'm talking Spanish. And he's like, yo, when you start talking, when you start talking Spanish, and we just started laughing and shit. Because we in Cali, you pick up a little tongue and all that, man, talking that shit. But Ish ended up getting married to the chick that he introduced me to that night that I saw him with. Yo, this is my girl, this is my friend Tracy. They've been married for over 40, almost 40 some years now, 30 some years or some shit.
Wait,
now,
hold on. We gotta applaud that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Ish been married to the same woman for the woman he met is the woman he married. I'm proud of my brother. I love that dude, man. I wish I could have did that. I got married, but it didn't work. I'm just not built for that stuff, man. It ain't for everybody, man. I tried. My mother and father been married 51 years, man.
We got to bring Ish on to talk about how you stay with the same person for a long time.
Oh, yo, don't bring Ish on because he's gonna start cracking jokes. He's gonna start telling the stories about us when we was kids. Man. I don't want him to tell them stories.
You know, Ish was on the podcast one time. He was talking about it was Scientology.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna tell you. You want to know the story of that?
Yeah.
You know, do you know how Ish got into Scientology?
Nah.
In 2010, when I came back from South Africa, Ishmael said somebody had sent him a picture of a Nation of Islam's laborer meeting with a chair, and on the chair had the letters COS, reserved COS. I said, Ish, that's the Church of Scientology. He's like, what? I said, oh, Ish, let me tell you. Yeah, I just came back from South Africa. I just spent a year and a half in the Church of Scientology getting my daughters out. He was like, what? I said, yeah, I'm the one that put Ish on Scientology. I'm the one that brought that to him. I'm the one that put him on that. Matter of fact, me and Ish did a whole breakdown before Farrakhan could get a chance to tell you he was a Scientologist. We exposed him. Before he could even come out of his mouth and say it, we made him say it.
Wait a minute. So hold on. You got your daughters out of Scientology, you said?
My wife, my ex-wife, took my daughters to South Africa. She's a South African citizen. Took them there, and they were in the Church of Scientology. When I got to Africa, she had them in the Church of Scientology. And guess what I did? I infiltrated that shit, got in, and do what I do. Mastered the information. I already knew that they thought I was already on some high level. They got this thing called OTs. The OTs are the secret society of Scientology. The OT means the operating Thetan. 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 A Thetan or Theta. A Thetan. Operating Thetan. So I got a white turban on. I got all white on. I'm in, we building, we adding on. So the dude said, "Are you an OT?" I said, "No, I'm a Sufi, man. I'm just a Muslim, B." He's like, "Oh man, your information sounds like OT information." So I started laughing. I said, "Well, that's because L. Ron Hubbard studied Sufism. He stole pieces of it. He said that he gives honor to the avatars of the 14th and the 15th century from the Middle East. That's Islam, Sufism."
Now, real quick before we move on, thank you. Let's hope. I really appreciate that $20. He says,
"You're right, brother."
He says Syracuse and especially Ithaca kind of reminds me of East St. Louis, close confined quarters, real serious people.
Yeah, Ithaca, my daughters live in Ithaca. Actually, my ex-wife just moved back to Ithaca. I got a whole history down there too. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So yeah, man. Yeah, Ithaca, Ithaca is a beautiful. That's where Cornell University is. Cornell University has the biggest hip hop historical memorabilia museum in the world is on Cornell University. Over 1 million pieces of hip hop history is on Cornell University. It's a museum. Did you know that, brother?
I had no idea.
You need to take a trip and do your podcast and take your podcast up there and do a whole thing on that joint, B.
Yeah, that's one of the ideas. I wanted to go. My first thought was to go to Syracuse first.
Come here, man. I take you out there. We ride out. You know what I'm saying? They got a lot. Matter of fact, Ithaca is dope because Ithaca got the Roots Festival coming up, the Reggae Festival coming up. They got the Dragon Boat Racing Festival because Ithaca is on a lake. A lake surrounds Ithaca as well. Ithaca is dope. Ithaca is dope, B. I like Ithaca, man. I like it. It's dope. Real dope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's an environment. That's an environment that's conducive for you can take something there and start a movement and just take the time. And yo, it's so much talent there, and it's a whole center. It's the Southside Community Center over there. I got access to that center because my daughter, fiance, mother, Dr. Nia, she's the executive director of the center. Somebody you might even want to contact and get in contact with and do an interview with her on the history of Ithaca.
Yeah, that'll be peace for sure, for sure. But
I can connect that for you too if you need me to.
Yeah, that'll be peace. Well, but before we cut out, man, I want to say this, man. I'm gonna send this video straight to my sister who has my nephew in Syracuse. I don't know where you are, Divine. Peace to you. I miss you, man. Love you, nephew. I gotta go out there to see you. I gotta go out there to capture the history of Syracuse and all of that, and of course to see you. Love you always, your uncle Ron Brown, aka I Supreme Allah. And
Indeed.
on that note, thank you for coming out, Sheik Denim Ill. Really appreciate you. Thank you for all the viewers for watching us. And we're out of here. Peace.